the profile, and then you can move from person to person that quickly. And it works everywhere, but for any kind of message, I was giving you that one example because we have hard conversion rates on that particular number. But it's super important to spend the time to talk to that person one-on-one. Because at the end of the day, if they're not interested and you're interested in them, they're not interested in you, your automation can happen on the back end. So this is the thing. Your automation may do the connection, and then you have, say, a 5 or 6 or 7 day gap before the automation kicks in.
Your business's success depends on relationships with customers, relationships with employees, and relationships with stakeholders. What do they all have in common? They're all human. Because no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Welcome to the Human Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Ponto. Each week, I bring you stories, insights, and practical advice from experts that you can apply to your growing company and daily life. This week, I'm excited to connect with Troy Hopolito. Troy somehow made LinkedIn not boring. He's helped coaches, consultants, and B2B companies with high-ticket offers pull off 400% revenue increases through sales outreach and training that doesn't make people want to throw their laptops out the window. He's built multi-channel systems, online event strategies that actually convert, and even invented a SaaS app called Scoop App. Basically, if you're still treating LinkedIn like a digital graveyard where engagement goes to die, Troy is about how you can show up to what and see what you're really missing. Congrats on launching the Scoop App, and welcome to the Human Connection Podcast.
Thanks a lot. I want to mention something about the not so boring. I have that title, the not so boring LinkedIn guy, but actually I'm dry as toast. So I flipped it on its head. In my previous title, before I was a LinkedIn guy, I was an IT guy. So I was the number one previously when we had a kind of a gaming company. And then we moved to LinkedIn because we need to get more business. That's what happened. But many years ago, I was known as the number one. My mother's from Switzerland and my dad's from the Philippines, just to give you perspective, right, on this next sentence here. But I was known as the number one Swiss-Filipino game designer in the world.
Okay.
That was actually more exciting, but you can't translate that on LinkedIn at all because LinkedIn, they don't get it, and it's a whole different flavor. So I said, I'm the not so boring LinkedIn guy. So I have very dry humor. I'm very direct on stuff. But at the end of the day, I would say, Carl, you're absolutely right. If you are in the B2B market and you're driving business in any respect, especially for high ticket items and high value relationships, it's all about building that relationship and it's human to human connection. So I think that's the core with all the big difference between the spammers and the relationship people.
Yeah, because there's definitely, with all the AI tools, it's easier than ever to do a bunch of pitch slapping and automate things, but there's so much of it and it's so impersonal and it's often annoying that it doesn't work that well. And so how do you recommend people go about building better relationships in this sort of market?
Slow down and actually think about things that would be valuable to your prospect. And it's not always your prospect. Sometimes it's a potential partner and that sort of thing. So we think of value. Well, a spammer will think of value as buy my stuff, right? That's not valuable to the other person. So you have to really think that what do they value? Well, they often value you spending time to know a little bit about them and not just saying that, oh, I think you have this problem. If they're going to give out 15 grand or 100,000 or whatever that high value relationship is worth, they're going to give you the money because they like you, that they know you, and they have a certain trust factor. So if there's three people doing the service that you're doing, more than often, it's not even the service that's is the major factor of actually obtaining that relationship or that contract or that job. It's really the fact is if they like you or not. And if they don't, they're going to work with someone else. It's all a comfort. 80% of the decision making power is if they like you. And people like things like you spending time to learn about them. I'll give you an example. The Scoop software, SKOP, that we built solved a particular problem. And on LinkedIn anyway, there are two major areas that produce all the revenue for the B2Bs. It's your content and then your direct messages. And we noticed that there's more and more spam that is cluttered on the direct messages, and to a point where it's almost easy to stand out. And so instead of always depending on automation AI, and there's nothing wrong with automation and AI, but you have to spend time to personally interact with your audience. That means to slow down. So one thing that we realized from Scoop is that video is more powerful than text alone. But how you use video can be really powerful. So we converted a single message from a 3% conversion rate to 21%. That's 6x. That's 600 times more than a normal text message. And if you think about it, if you have your systems in place, you'll get an average of about 10 connections a day, right? If you have everything running in order and everything's lined up. Some people get more, of course. If you have a 21% conversion rate, that means you have 2, sometimes 3 extra vetted book meetings a day, plus all your other systems. That's super important because you want to shortcut that relationship building process. And so one thing that Scoop does, and does a lot of cool stuff, but as far as DMs anyway, it allows you to reply instantly. So it will store all your common replies on there, so you can click a button and drop it very quickly and then make a change if you want. The other thing it allows you to do is instantly create a video, a candid video that's designed to be 30 seconds long or 60 seconds long, and then you can title it. So those 3 things is what we call a sandwich. And so 3 lines of text, 2 to 3 lines of text, excuse me, a short video that looks raw, does not look polished, and titling it with their name on there. Well, in the context, what that means is the 3 lines of text is context. It's not content, because people don't read. If you send them a lot of information, they will not read. They want to know what it's about in 2 to 3 lines. And then if they like what they hear, they'll proceed to the other micro step and look at the video. They say, oh, it's a welcome video. Oh, he's thanking me for connecting. Oh yeah, I did connect with him. Oh, and I see a video here, and the video looks like it's for me. It doesn't look polished, it looks raw. And then they go down and see their name in the title. They say, oh, I know it's for me because he has my name in the title. And that alone converts a lot better. And that means I spent 2 minutes on that profile. I looked at the profile, I looked at the title, I talked about them, and I didn't sell. My only call to action was, hey, if you have a chance, so for example, if I say Carl, if you have a chance, I have a really good network. If you can, take a quick look at my LinkedIn profile. If you see anything there worth talking about, feel free to send me your booking link, and then I will schedule some time with you. Always open for a conversation. So the first part is talking about them, and my call to action is really no more than the current relationship. And that's where people get thrown off. What is appropriate to say? Did I try to sell them something? No. Did I give them my booking link? No. I asked them to take a look at my profile, and I put the ball in their court. And so you have some psychology in there, and you allow them to pre-vet themselves. And that's the magic, because at the end of the day, you don't want to sell unless it's appropriate. And usually it's not appropriate. You want to create an environment, like I consider it a buying environment. So if you are providing value to others on a constant basis, they get to know you and trust you, and they'll come to you and they'll buy. So I have this problem. And sometimes you are not the solution to their problem. So your goal should not be selling your product. Your goal should be lessening their pain and then providing a solution to the. So if someone came to me and saying, "Hey, Troy, yeah, I'm having all these problems. I'm having these proposals I'm sending out. I'm making this up, of course. And I send out an email and I never get any replies." Well, that could be a couple of things. Maybe you have an email issue, you know, and so you have to look at deliverability. Well, those are obvious issues, but I'm not an email expert. I say these are probably the problems. I see this all the time, but you need to talk to person B, and person B is an email expert that fixes your email. And so my job is to fix their pain, because my system or my services or my consulting may not fix that particular pain. But when you help people, there's only 3 possibilities out of helping people. And number one, it doesn't cost me any time at all. But on the first aspect is, say you solve their problem, they'll never talk bad about you. That is super important. They always talk good about you. The second thing is they look at the problem, you help them solve it, and they look to the left and look to the right, and they follow instructions, whether it's email or something that has to do with their business, and they see 22 other problems, and they say, you know what, I'm going to hire Troy to fix this. So they hire you. The third is they can send recommendations. My last client that's just rolling off now, he tripled his business and gave me 4 recommended people. So he tooted my horn, which is far better than any system. And I don't want to take on a lot of clients. I can only handle so many. So one client is usually 90 days I tend to work with. So I have 4 on that. That's a really good thing. That's makes you feel like you're really doing something to provide a service that really converts and helps people.
Yeah, I want to go back to the thing you mentioned about the messages you send to people and how different it is from most of the inbound or like the in-mails or the marketing DMs that happen on LinkedIn, where it's very salesy, very basically pitch slapping is my favorite term for it. Whereas immediately trying to sell, it has like I said, it has the booking link. It has, hey, I noticed some like you've hit tag on your profile or like something about you that is very generic, or kind of like the SEO term came up in the search. So I'm just going to send you this pitch. But I like how your approach, it showed the customized video that's very raw and unpolished and based off of something you saw on their profile, and then making it really customized for them beyond just having their name in there, but it's a real connection. And then having that call to action that is not pressuring them, is not sending a link right away, but giving them an invitation just to get to know you more, and having, like I said, slowing down to really build that relationship properly is such a breath of fresh air for so many people on LinkedIn whose DMs are constantly bombarded by these sales pitches, where you can tell just from reading it that it is a mass email and it's not customized for them beyond maybe their name and like job title. And it's such a contrast, like you said earlier. It's not easy to, or it's not hard to stand out with all the.
Yeah, just thinking about it like this: if there was a modeling agency, right? I'm not very handsome anymore. Or maybe 20 years ago, I could probably, get away with something. But well, let's just use that for example. And they're all blondes, right? Why don't you be the brunette? Because you'll stand out. And in the attention economy, what stands out is you talking about them, you taking time up. So the process is not, if you want to really think about how long that process takes, it takes between 2 and 2.5 minutes per person. That means if you have 10 people that you send this to, it's going to take you about a half hour. It's a half hour out of your day. So this is the question I have for the audience. How much is a brand new client worth? That's it. How much is it worth? Is it worth doing your work for a half hour a day? Or are you spamming people all day? You know what I mean? So a little bit of work would literally takes 2 to 2.5 minutes. You can look at a title, you can look at the picture, you can look at the profile, and then you can move from person to person that quickly. And it works everywhere, but for any kind of message, I was giving you that one example because we have hard conversion rates on that particular number. But it's super important to spend the time to talk to that person one-on-one. Because at the end of the day, if they're not interested and you're interested in them, they're not interested in you, your automation can happen on the back end. So this is the thing. Your automation may do the connection, and then you have, say, a 5 or 6 or 7 day gap before the automation kicks in the other messages, right? So that way you get best of both worlds. You still have some of the messages follow up to bump that to the top, but at least you're thinking about how do I provide value and not spam. So always think value to them. And so people value the aspect of, oh, he actually did this for me. He's talking to me and it's not an AI. They love it. They can spot out an AI immediately. So it's the mistakes that show that you're human. They want to see that they want to see a relationship where that person's like me. And so when I speak, I don't speak perfectly, but I have those little inflections of change and have my arms moving sometimes. And I say things and I'll stop and I have to correct myself right on the video. I do it one take. I don't care if it's like not perfect. And I think people appreciate the fact that you're not perfect because then they can relate to you. And it's all about that relationship building process and their appreciation for you taking the time. That's being genuine, you know. And also, how many clients can you really take on? You know, you're not gonna want to work with the wrong client. So you're vetting the right people for your right service in that respect, anyway.
And I think that people often, when you say, oh, you should do more these videos, these personalized videos, they think, oh my gosh, it's going to take so long to get everything set up and it has to be perfect. And they get very self-conscious, where as even like a few years ago, the more unpolished real content was gaining popularity. And these days it's even more effective to not be overly produced, not be perfect, and have some flubs or have some minor corrections when you're speaking, because people are craving that authenticity, that real glimpse into who you are as a person, as a human being, and not being presented with all these overly polished templates and content that doesn't have anywhere for them to really grip onto and relate to, because it is too perfect, too polished. And so I think it's,
well, it doesn't make you feel like a number.
Yeah.
You know, and it shows the fact that I'm putting effort into this. People see AI and a lot of this automation and this volume as laziness, you know. And so we do have an attention economy. So the more this AI stuff is happening, the more powerful it is to be authentic. And so authentic doesn't always mean to be nice or to be agreeable. It means, like, how can I express my views in a way that I can attract my tribe, people that will work with me? Because for me, I'll be honest with you, when I meet someone and they're like super happy, I'm kind of scared because I think they're a crazy person. You know what I mean? Like, this person is way too happy, you know? So I don't know if they're, you know, they probably have some mental problems and stuff. And we all have mental issues in some way or another, you know, we all have trauma, but there's things that we, you know, don't want to know and want to stay away from. So there has to be, like, how do you say the term, my kind of people, you know? So I have a certain standard. I don't like people that embellish. I don't like people that lie. You know, I don't like, I'll never do business if, you know, if I find the wife is cheating on the husband, you know, so I just won't do, like, that's against my ethics. You know, I just want to work with good people, that actually want to help. And so that's my method. And am I perfect? Definitely not. And I think that comes across in a good way.
Yeah, I think it is important that people understand the flaws and those kind of quirks and the idiosyncrasies that for so long people have thought they've had to hide are actually your biggest selling points, because they allow you to attract the sort of people that you'll enjoy working with, and you'll be able to build a community around your business and not just have clients or customers, but real connections and a lasting relationship with those people. And I do think it's a very important for people to understand the distinction of what they get from using the relationship approach when it comes to outreach on LinkedIn and other platforms. So thank you so much for connecting with me today, Troy. If you enjoyed this episode of the Human Connection Podcast, please leave a review, and subscribe. If you want to learn more about myself or Troy, check out the links in the show notes. And remember, no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H.